Good morning, class. Today we are working on Unit 3, Lesson 3 homework, and we are continuing our work with multiplying fractions by a whole number. And you will see today we have a couple that are unit fractions multiplied by a whole number, and then we have fractions multiplied just by another whole number. So we are going to get started on our top numbers 1 through 6, our story problems. And the information for numbers 1 through 6, you can see that we have the distances over here on this little sign, and then the other information is right here at the top. And what it says is the campers in each cabin at Bear Claw Camp held a contest to see who could walk the farthest in one day. Use this sign to answer the questions. Write your answers as fractions. Number 1 reads, the campers in cabin A walked 1/4 of the way to Otter Ridge. How many miles did they walk? Well, we have to figure out how far Otter Ridge is. So we need to go over here to our sign and find Otter Ridge. And Otter Ridge is our top one right here. And Otter Ridge says that it is 13 miles away. And so when we are doing this, we know that they walked a fourth of, again, there's our word of, a fourth of the way to Otter Ridge. So they walked 1/4 of 13 miles. And remember, our word of, when we see that word, we know that of means times. So we're going to have 1/4 times 13. And in order to write the whole number 13 as a fraction, we take that whole number and we write it over the number 1. And then we can, with this one, just simply multiply straight across. 1 times 13 is 13, and 4 times 1 is 4. And in our directions, if you would look at this, we've been practicing with reducing, and we can see that we have an improper fraction here. 13/4 is an improper fraction, but right here it says write your answers as fractions. So we're going to leave it as 13/4. But one of the things I want you to think about too is this says leave your answers as fractions. You'll also know, or you'll also see down here, leave your answers as written as a fraction. And when it says leave your answer written as a fraction, sometimes it can be a little confusing because we think of this as an improper fraction. So I want you to know that an improper fraction in this instance, because it says to write your answers as fractions, is okay. This is a situation where we will leave it as an improper fraction. Okay, and so you can go ahead and write your 13/4 miles. M-I-L-E-S, miles. All right, let's practice another one together. We're going to go ahead and move down to number 6. Numbers 2, 3, and 4 are the same as number 1, and number 5 I think you can do pretty easily on your own. But let's talk about this number line here with number 6. It says show 2/3 of 4 on the number line, and we can see that this number line is equivalent to 4. It has 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the entire number line is equivalent to 4. So we need to figure out where 2/3 of 4 is. And if you look at these, you can see that each section, okay, so each between 0 and 1, and 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and 2 and 3, and 3 and 4, are broken up into thirds. Here's 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 would be one whole. So they're each broken up into thirds. So we need to figure out what 2/3 of 4 is. And if we look at each section here, we can see that each section between 0 and 1 is broken up into 3 equal parts. Between 1 and 2 is broken up into 3 equal parts. Between 2 and 3 is broken up into 3 equal parts. And between 3 and 4, we have 3 equal parts. And what we need to do then is to identify 2 of the 3 in each of those. And you can just do that simply by lining out that you've got 2 of them here. Go to the next one. You've got 2/3 there. And the next, you've got 2/3 there, and the next, you've got 2/3 there. There you've shaded in or identified 2/3 of 4 on a number line. Number 7 says write 2/3 of 4 as a fraction. Okay, remember you're going to leave this one in fraction form. It's going to be an improper fraction. So we have 2/3 of 4, and we know that 4 means multiply. So we have 2/3 times 4 over 1. Okay, and in this one we have 2 times 4 is equal to 8, and 3 times 1 is equal to 3. So your answer is going to be 8/3 for number 7. Going to continue our work with that number line, and it says write 2/3 of 4 as a mixed number for number 8. So write it as a mixed number. Well, we've already solved it, so we're not going to resolve it. We're just going to take our answer, we're going to take the 8/3, and we're going to write that as a mixed number. And remember, a mixed number is a whole number and a fraction, and what we need to do there is identify our denominator. And in this case, our denominator is 3. And I need to ask myself, how many times can 3 go into 8 without going over? Well, I know that 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So 3 times 3 won't work because 9 is larger than 8. So it's going to be 2. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. That 2 that I'm multiplying 3 by becomes my whole number. Then I look at the 6 and I take the 8, the numerator, and I subtract 6, and I'm left with 2, because 8 minus 6 is equal to 2. That becomes my new numerator, and my denominator stays the same. I bring the 3 over. So my answer is then 2 and 2/3. Go ahead and write that answer on the line, 2 and 2/3. You're going to then see on numbers 9 through 17, it says multiply, and it says write your answer as fractions. Okay, again, you're going to be ending up not just with a regular fraction, but you're going to be ending up with some improper fractions. So I want you to remember it's okay to leave it in that form. I know I've been making you take them out of improper fractions and converting them to mixed numbers, but in this practice, you're going to be working on just leaving them as fractions or as an improper fraction. Let's go ahead and do a couple together. We can go ahead and look at number 9, and it reads 2/7 times 4. Okay, in this case, we need to write 4 over 1. We take our whole number always and write it over 1. 2 times 4 is equal to 8. 7 times 1 is equal to 7. We can do another one, so we can write down 8/7 as our answer for number 9. Let's go ahead and let's do a larger one. Let's look at number 16. Okay, number 16 is 5/12 times 18, and I'm going to write that 18 over 1 because I know I write a whole number over 1 is how I write it as a fraction. So we have 5/12 times 18. And 5 times 18 is equal to 90. And 12 times 1 is equal to 12. So we have 90 over 12. All right, you're going to continue these, and remember, make sure you're paying attention, but you are writing them as fractions or improper fractions and leaving them in that format, with the exception of number 8, where it asks you to change it to a mixed number. When you've finished the rest of the problems on the page today, make sure you check your work, take a picture, attach it to your assignment, and turn it in on Teams. Thank you.